He's challenged panthers in the forest. He's fought off ghosts at Halloween. He's survived volcanoes in paradise, street gangs in his old neighborhood, and guards at the dog pound. But tonight, he faces his greatest challenge. Please join us to see if Garfield can survive his 10th birthday party.
Well, just who is he, that fat cat? Just look at what he's done these past 10 years. Yeah, he's been busy, that's a fact. Pitching up affection, drumming up cheers. Garfield, you always know what to do. I said, Garfield, you're some kind of cat. Oh, you party animal, you. Garfield, you always do it upright. Garfield, you make the living sweet. So Garfield, now that you know how we feel.
Big fat hairy deal.
Tonight, we'll look back at 10 years of America's favorite Emmy-winning, pasta-loving fat cat. You'll go behind the scenes to see how Garfield is created for the comic strip and for television. You'll also see Garfield around the world. And now, here is your host for our 10th anniversary party, the creator of Garfield the Cat, Jim Davis.
Good evening and welcome to our show. We're near Muncie, where it's springtime here in Indiana. I grew up only a few miles up the road. Now I have only about a 100-yard commute from my house to my studio. Come on inside and I'll show you where I work. When I first started Garfield some 3,652 strips ago, he looked very different. He had little tiny beady eyes and big pointed ears, big fat jowls, and a big cumbersome body. He just sat there and said, "Feed me a lot." In fact, when we first animated Garfield some 8 years ago, he not only looked very different, but he sounded different as well.
A mouse! Get it! Garfield, you didn't even try.
Show me a good mouser and I'll show you a cat with bad breath.
You're too fat, Garfield. Why, I'll bet you haven't seen your feet in years.
I have feet? One last olive.
Since those early days, Garfield has undergone a Darwinian evolution in that he has changed physically to allow him to do some things. Today, his eyes are larger and more expressive, his ears are smaller, his mouth is bigger to allow him to eat more food. Also, his limbs are longer to allow him to reach for pies and to kick Odie. Also, his body is smaller and not in the way so much. In fact, this is the way he looks today. I'm an eyeball man. I always start drawing the eyeballs first, and then I hope the rest of the character fits on the page. Garfield's appeal partly lies in the fact that he is selfish and lazy. We live in a time where we're made to feel guilty about overeating and oversleeping and not exercising. Garfield defends his right to do all of that. I think he takes away some of our guilt when he does it on the comics page every day. Garfield's ears got smaller as the years wore on because they didn't have anything to do with the expression. I can't remember not wanting to be a cartoonist. I grew up on a farm near Fairmount, Indiana, and as a child I was asthmatic and I was forced to spend a lot of time inside. So to entertain myself, I drew pictures. And my pictures were so bad, I used to have to label them. I would draw a cow, write cow, draw an arrow down to the cow, so people would know what it was. After a while, it became very comfortable for me to put words with pictures. I couldn't communicate totally with just pictures or with just words. For me, cartooning was a very natural thing. I'm not quite sure what kind of discipline it takes to become a successful cartoonist. Once Al Cap told me it takes two things to become a cartoonist. It helps to have been dropped on your head as a small child, and secondly, you must have no desire, talent, or ability to do anything useful in life. The one thing that's never changed about Garfield is that he has this big, portly figure, or as Garfield describes it, he's queen-sized, big-boned, but he's small for a tanker. He has this bottomless stomach, this limitless appetite that we all wish we had. In fact, his appetites are very human. Garfield is basically a human in a cat suit. A lot of his tastes are so human, in fact, he doesn't care to eat mice. The thought of putting a live rodent in his mouth disgusts him. Garfield's big appetite isn't confined to the usual 3 meals in the day. There's the mid-morning snack, the late morning snack, the early, the late afternoon snacks, the early and late evening snacks.
You know, one of these days, eating like that is going to give you a nightmare. Wait and see.
A nightmare? Me? Get real. Imagine him thinking I'd have a nightmare from eating too much. Me. What a silly thing. What a silly...
Eat, Garfield, eat. Eat with all your might. Eat that pasta, eat it pasta till it's out of sight. Till it's out of sight. Munch, Garfield, munch. Come on, let's do lunch. Make your belly mozzarella crunch, crunch, crunch. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Cheese, salami, ham, and Swiss, whole wheat, rye, and white. Sliced tomatoes, tons of mayo, love at first bite. Garfield, you're an awesome eater, yes, you are the top. Butter, batters, bitter batter, you don't have to stop. Double stack it, you can hack it, yum, Garfield, yum. Don't you miss a crumb. At a dinner, you're the winner. Don't you pause or you'll get thinner. More, Garfield, more, till you can't fit through the door. Eat, Garfield, eat. Chow, chow, chow. You've got to stop eating, Garfield. You're getting bigger and bigger and bigger and oh no!
Do these eyeballs look familiar? I have a small repertoire of eyeballs. John's sort of the everyday American male. He's easygoing. He's a daydreamer. He's a little wishy-washy. He's basically a nice, good-hearted kind of guy. But he was only put in the strip to be the foil of all of Garfield's gags. His idea of a big evening is watching an Ethel Barrymore film festival. Even though John's a single guy, he considers himself a family man. He takes his boys everywhere. Here's John's idea of a good time on a camping trip.
All I need's a loincloth, a little sack of salt. Whatever you hear on the 6 o'clock news, buddy, it ain't my fault.
Not my fault.
Out here in the backwoods, amongst the leaves and trees, I'm in seventh heaven. Bees, wheeze, fleas? 'Cause camping is my life. Camping is my life. Camping is my life. I'm in seventh heaven, 'cause camping is my life.
Hoorah! Take me home.
Odie is a delight to work with. He has big ears, a big tongue, and big eyes, and a big heart. The only thing that's tough about doing with Odie is the writing, because he never says anything aside from an occasional arf or a yip or a growl. But his expressions and his body language seem to carry him through the gags. Odie is so rubbery in all of his features, it seems as though he always bounces back from all of the terrible things that Garfield does to him. Even though Garfield and Odie are usually at odds, there are times when they make a pretty good team.
Welcome, the Dancing Armandos!
This'll be a piece of cake.
Cartoonists all approach their art in a different manner. When I do the Garfield comic strip, I sit down somewhere very quiet, and I try to visualize Garfield in my head as if watching a television set. And when I see him in a funny situation, I follow it along until it ends in something funny, and then I back up 3 frames and cut it off. And while that sounds very simple, it works best for me. When I hear a gag, I see it at the same time. So rather than just writing the words out, I do a pencil rough, designing the strip and writing the words in at the same time. I work up about twice size from the size you see in the newspaper. From there, it goes to my assistant, Gary Barker, who does a finished pencil blue line of the strip. We like to work in blue pencil because it doesn't photograph in the newspaper and we don't have to erase over the ink. That way the ink doesn't smear. After that, it goes to my assistant, Valette Hildebrand, who does the lettering and the inking on the strip. And then it comes back to me to check the spelling, add my name and the date, and then the strip is sent to New York.
Okay, Garfield. In 10 seconds, the timer will go off. Capturing for posterity a portrait of a sophisticated young man and his faithful companion.
The greatest enjoyment I get from doing the strip is making people laugh, or at the very least, making people smile. The nicest letters I get are from people who say that Garfield in some way has brightened their day, and they look forward to seeing him all the time. Because Garfield is an entertainment figure. And if nothing else, I hope he tells people that life isn't so bad and that we should all learn to laugh at ourselves.
Hey, Odie, old boy, you know what Halloween night is? Yeah, well, take that stupid pumpkin off your head and I'll tell you. Better. That's a night when dogs have to help cats go out and get candy. That's right. And if a dog does a good job, he gets a whole piece of candy of his very own. Well, do you want to go, boy? Huh? Huh? Want to go out and get candy? Huh? Do you? Do you want to go? Huh? 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 Okay, let's go to the attic and find some costumes for tonight. You know, just between you and me, there are times when I love that dog.
Comic strips are as uniquely American as jazz and the 4th of July. Garfield, as well as other comic characters, have enjoyed the opportunity to jump into other mediums as well. In a moment, we'll be back with Garfield in Hollywood.
What do you think?
Buffo, terrific, don't change a thing. I love it just the way it is. Let's do lunch.
Garfield, you should learn something new each day. It'd lend purpose to this dreary existence of yours. I'm going to the store. When I come back, I want you to have learned something. I'm back, Garfield. What did you learn while I was gone?
Well, for one thing, I learned how to use your credit card. Oh boy, a banquet. Baked ham, sweet potatoes, cranberry sauce, corn. What's this? It appears to be of the crescent roll family. A true gourmet never shies away from a new taste treat. Bit on the dry side. Flavor's a bit subtle.
Garfield, have you seen my sweat socks?
Every now and then, a cartoon character gets the opportunity to transcend the comics page and work in other areas. Garfield has opened a lot of doors for me. Now I get to change hats and work with plush dolls, with publishing, ceramics, a lot of other things. And quite frankly, this has helped me a lot with the strip, because before I knew Garfield as an ink line. Now I get to hold him, touch him, turn him over, and it's given a lot more depth to the character. Another exciting aspect of the Garfield program is working with the animation. Believe it or not, this is a lot more natural for me because when I write the strip, I see Garfield moving, I hear him talking. It's much more natural to let him go about his business and do his humor than it is to freeze frame him for that 7-inch space in the newspaper to pick the most appropriate action or gesture or whatever. And now here in Hollywood is the director of animation, Phil Roman.
Hi, Jim. I just thought the viewers would be interested in seeing how we put together an animated Garfield TV special. What we've chosen to show you today is a section of John, Garfield, and Odie going to their local TV station for a talent audition. We take the script as written by Jim Davis, and we develop what we call a storyboard. There are 6 drawings per page and about 70 pages per script, so we have about 420 drawings per show. We plot out the action and establish the various settings in which the characters will move. These are model sheets. We try to develop each character in every possible situation, happy, angry, sad, and so forth. Then the animators will refer to these model sheets as they create the action. There are very specific directions for the drawing of each character. You can see here how just one pose calls for all sorts of detail. I usually time out a picture on what we call bar sheets. This is where I establish the pacing and continuity of the show. I determine the length of a scene, or close-ups or long shots, and how the dialogue and action fit in. Once the animator puts enough of these drawings together, then you start to see action like this. About 12 of these drawings will be photographed in 1 second. Our production chief, Ted B. Miller, is checking out our dailies on an editing machine called a Moviola. We do the various actions in what we call pencil test animation. This way we can check the animation in pencil before we go to the expensive color painting. The next step in the animation process is to get the animator's original drawings and transfer them onto celluloids. We call them cells. Now there are approximately 30,000 of these cells that have to be hand painted. And they're painted by folks like Shannon Meyer here, who's working on one of the cells right now. Shannon, what do you find that's the most difficult when you're painting?
Aside from staying within the line, which we all have experience with from our childhood, I would say it's getting the correct mix of water in the paint so the paint is smooth enough and thin enough to flow on evenly, and yet it's still opaque.
We have already established the basic settings on our storyboard, and now they are enlarged on the layouts across which the various characters will move. Then, while the animation is being done, our sets are being painted as well by the background artist who add the color and mood to each scene. The cameraman then photographs the completed scene. He combines the animation and the backgrounds and then shoots each individual drawing 1 frame at a time. Later, when the film is projected at the normal speed of 24 frames per second, the characters will appear to come to life. And after all these steps and many months of work, this is how the final scene turned out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Johnny Bop and the Two Steps.
Johnny Bop and the Two Steps.
You know the women all call me, they call me the Wizard of Love.
Oh, wow, the Wizard of Love.
Oh yeah, the women all call me, they call me the Wizard of Love.
Oh, wow, the Wizard of Love.
They call me the Wizard cause I show them what they don't know how.
Oh, wow, the Wizard of Love.
Well, I'm greasy as a gizzard, cool as a lizard, but I know how to keep you hard in a blizzard. That's why they call me the Wizard of Love.
Oh, wow, the Wizard of Love.
So follow that yellow brick road to the Wizard of Love.
You guys were great!
You were awful.
This may not look like Garfield, but in fact it is. A few years ago, the staff and I thought it would be fun to create a book based on all 9 of Garfield's lives. And now we've started to animate Garfield's 9 lives down through the centuries, starting with Cave Cat.
In my first life, I formulated many of my likes and dislikes. I disliked my rock bed. On the other hand, you wouldn't believe the size of the pterodon drumsticks.
About 10 million years ago, the first cat crawled out of the sea. His first word was... He had been holding his breath for quite some time. In those days, the first everything was crawling up out of the sea. The first snake. The first chicken. Crabgrass. The first real estate salesman. And then came the first girl cat.
Oh, man. Near. Oh, man. Cat.
Cat was caveman talk for darn it. It wasn't long before Cave Cat learned to talk.
Boom. Meow. 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 Yow. Meow.
Caveman soon domesticated Cave Cat.
Good cat. Good cat.
Garfield loves weekends almost as much as he hates Mondays. This fall, he'll be appearing for the first time on Saturday morning television here on CBS. This is our first recording session. We hope that our family of characters can bring a special brand of humor to Saturday's television viewers. 3 very fine actors play our main characters. Garfield is the voice of Lorenzo Music, whose face I have never seen. Odie is played by Greg Berger. Greg has to slobber on cue. The character of John is played by Tom Hughey. Tom and I were fraternity brothers at Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana.
Can I get a copy of the Black Ants script?
I don't think that's any of your business.
Oh, wow, man.
Oh, we're wearing our doggy coat, aren't we? Don't we look just precious in our dumb widow doggy coat? When we go on our walk, all the other dogs are going to call you a nerd. I feel so sorry for you.
Come on, guys. Let's get ready for our walk.
Oh, we're wearing our doggy coat, aren't we? Don't we look just precious in our dumb widow doggy coat? When we go on our walk, all the other dogs are going to call you a nerd. But don't feel bad. You'll be the best dressed nerd ever.
Come on, guys. Let's get ready for our walk.
Maybe lightning will strike me and end this humiliation.
Because you're resisting him shoving you off the table.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to Odie the Amazing, about to perform his death-defying dive into this glass of water.
Struggle. Good.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to Odie the Amazing, about to perform his death-defying dive into this glass of water. Of course, he may need a little encouragement. Come on, I'm gonna make you a star.
When you own pets, there's never a dull moment.
Desiree Goyette and Ed Bogus have written all of the music for the Garfield television specials. Just for fun, I asked them to try and write a theme song in 15 minutes for an upcoming special where Garfield is going to be a great detective. We need a theme song for Babes and Bullets. We're going to do the animation in black and white. We want to do it in the old B-movie tradition. Garfield is going to be a detective, and it's going to be done with a lot of tight cuts a la Dragnet, back and forth. Right. And he's going to be solving a murder mystery.
Like a blues kind of.
It's got to be a real bluesy show, yeah. And
we always get something first.
Right. Well, I got the counter.
The music always comes first.
Right,
how about this?
A different breed.
Different breed. I like a different breed.
Okay, then we've got something like "Don't have to look." Well, but this was more talking an impersonal approach, though. When he said,
"That's all right. No, I like this.
Don't have to look hard to find a different breed. We're a different breed, another kind, you know."
Claws and clues. You like that line?
Claws and clues.
Sure.
That's good. That's
Sure.
good. What is it?
Clues and claws.
Clues.
Claws and clues.
Claws and clues.
Claws and clues on my beat. I pay my dues for my meat. When I put my paws on the street. And claws.
I pay my dues on the street.
Oh, got a line here.
I love those babes and bullets. I love them all to death.
Just need this last line.
That's all I know.
That's why I do it.
That's why I do it. Oh, that's a funny line. That's all he knows.
That's why.
That's all he does.
It's a living, that's why I do it.
Yeah. All right, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Whole thing?
The whole thing.
All
All right, ready? All right, I'll do the intro.
Yeah, but don't stop singing. You're gonna help me out. Make sure the changes. My life's full of babes and bullets. No time to lay back and cool it.
I've got clues and claws right here in my paws.
I like that.
Nothing to do but do it. Don't have to look hard to find. I like it hard to find a different breed, another kind, something like that. From out in the streets to a dimly lit hall, that guy in the pinstripe shopping with his mom. Claws and clues on my beat.
I'm always gonna get that wrong.
Pay my dues on the street.
A life full of babes and bullets.
Now throw this one away.
It's a living. That's why I do
Yeah.
it. Okay, something like that.
Even great detectives have to eat.
I'm waiting for the pizza I ordered to be delivered. Garfield doesn't know anything about it, and I want to keep it that way. That's it, gotta go, bye. Gee, I wonder who's at the door. It couldn't be a pizza because nobody ordered a pizza. It must be a special delivery letter. Certainly not a pizza. Here's your money. Give me the pizza. Goodbye. By the way, thanks. And I didn't forget anything.
You forgot the anchovies. Don't worry, you'll remember next time.
Dinner time, Garfield.
Food.
I ran out of your regular cat food, so I bought you the dried kind. I'm sure you know what to do with it.
I certainly do.
Whoa, whoa! Enjoying your cat food, Garfield?
We must have it more often.
One of America's most popular exports is its comic strips. Every morning, Garfield is read in dozens of countries and languages, from Afrikaans to Spanish. Now, here is Garfield as you've never heard him before.
Maldición, mi amo aún debe estar enredado en la cama. Cuesta encontrar a alguien que coopere en estos días. Hola, ¿hay alguien ahí? Hola. Buenos días, Encanto. Bienvenido a otro hermoso día con tu animalito favorito.
Supongo que querrás desayunar.
Eso sería fantástico.
Okay, Jungs, vergesst nicht, was wir einstudiert haben. Und jetzt zieht eure Kostüme an.
warst du denn noch, Garfield? Einen Konkurrenten auslöschen.
In a few years, the comic strip will be celebrating its 100th birthday. In fact, my friend Brad Anderson, who does Marmaduke, has been drawing most of those years. Cartooning is one big fraternity. The cartoonists enjoy getting together to swap a few stories and a few tricks of the trade. Here's a recent conversation I had with three of the industry's most popular cartoonists: Dick Brown, who's with High and Lois and creator of Hagar the Horrible; Mike Peters, Pulitzer Prize-winning editorial cartoonist and creator of Mother Goose and Grimm; and Lynn Johnston, creator of For Better or For Worse.
You know, you've got to enjoy your own stuff. You've got to be your biggest fan.
You've got to be the actor. You've got to be the character, and that's why when you draw a frown, you're frowning, and when you're laughing, you're laughing, and anybody watching you draw thinks you're nuts.
But don't you find that every cartoonist draws themselves? Really?
Oh, sure.
You're drawing yourself all the time. I know you are. I've seen you scratch sometimes. You definitely do. And I know you do.
I'm sorry, Dick. I can't see any similarity between you and Hagar. I once heard Dick lament his school experience. I think you said in an interview once, had I known I was going to be such a success, I would have studied harder in school.
So there was a wonderful old nun, Sister Everesta, made of wax. And she tried so hard with me. And she finally told me one day, she said, young man, Richard, young Mr. Richard, she said, if you don't stop doing those silly drawings, you're going to end up in the hot place. And we moved to Florida. It was 98 degrees that day. And I said, you were right, sister. Still doing the crazy cartoon.
I find this picture of this man, a man named Mr. Morgan, who was my English teacher. And I had obviously given him my yearbook after I graduated to sign. Yeah. And on the bottom of the of his picture, he said, "Dear Mr. Peters, you had better start growing up real soon. Because remember, you can't always draw cartoons."
Oh, that's wonderful.
Talking to hopeful cartoonists, I asked them about their doodling. Are they a chronic doodler? Do they like to sketch, or do they study the art? If they're chronic doodlers, if it totally occupies their brain, if the clock stops while they're doodling, then they have great hopes of being a cartoonist someday, because the clock has to stop while you're doing your work. Otherwise, you couldn't bear to spend that many hours at a drawing board. That would be too crushing.
You have to go into this dream state of being in this other world.
It's like a meditation.
I go into a new neighborhood, and I'm with these people. I know where the street goes. I know where the bus stop is. I know where the park is. I know what the neighbor's house looks like inside. I know what the wallpaper's like. I mean, you really have to psych yourself into this new dream state, this new community, and then you can think of the relationships.
I usually start with drawing a funny picture of the main character, Hagar, in some position or other like that. And sometimes that'll spark a gag. Sometimes you sort of concentrate on a blank piece of paper and say a mantra like, money, 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 money. Something like that.
Deadlines.
I think of this one guy. I was at this mall in Washington one time, and I saw this little guy. He was about 22 or something. He was sitting there, and he was reading the Washington Post. He was reading through different cartoons. And I saw him get to my cartoon, and I saw him laugh. And I thought, whoa, because that doesn't happen. I mean, very, very seldom do I ever see it. You know, most of the time they look at my cartoon, and then they go on. This guy laughed. And I think, God, think about that. You do something in Dayton, Ohio, Sarasota or whatever, and you draw it. And then you send it to the syndicate, and that's 1,000 miles away. And then they send it out to the newspapers, and then they print it, and they sell it to the people, and then that person opens it up, pow, and you've tickled them. I mean, from 12,000 miles.
I had a great letter one time. It was it's probably the best letter I've ever had. This girl wrote to me and she said, I am in a body brace. I've just made dinner for my family. I have a 2-year-old child. I am standing at my kitchen counter feeling terribly sorry for myself, eating pears out of a can because I cannot eat and I can't sit down and I'm so miserable. I opened up the newspaper and I laughed at your comic, and she said, I wanted to let you know how badly I needed that laugh. I needed that laugh today. Thank you.
I think we're all frustrated actors anyway. All right. Except here in the comic strip, we get to write the script, cast the show, set the stage, direct it, everything else. And I often thought we would probably all be stand-up comics if we were only quicker-witted. As it is, we get all day to think of one funny line. Cartoonists' commitment to brightening our lives isn't just confined to the funny pages. Behind the scenes, they donate a lot of time and energy to charitable causes. Lynn, Mike, and I, along with dozens of other cartoonists, recently joined Dick in Florida for his Joan Brown Cartoon Classic to raise money for the critical care unit of the Sarasota Memorial Hospital. See if you can guess who is drawing some of your favorite characters.
Fill my life with just a little color. Through thick and thin, you've seen me through each year. In quiet little ways, you brighten up each day. And reading you is just like looking in the mirror. Sketch me up some laughter, pencil in a smile. Draw out my emotions and play them for a while. Scribble in a punchline, sign it lovingly. Even though we've never met, it's amazing how well you know me. Say for me what I'm afraid of saying. Draw for me what words just can't express. Play for me the role I can't be playing. A moment from the tension, a minute without stress. Sketch me up some laughter, pencil in a smile. Draw out my emotions and play them for a while. Scribble in a punchline, then sign it lovingly. Even though we never met, it's amazing how well you know me.
I'm always fascinated by the public reaction to Garfield.
I like Garfield. He's the kind of guy I'd like to hang out with on a Saturday night. You know?
So laid back, he's cool. I love the way he acts. He likes to eat, he likes to sleep.
Well, he's really cute, but I just don't like cats.
What do you think of Garfield?
I think he's cute, and I like cats. I'm a more of a Far Side fan.
Happy birthday, Garfield.
Happy birthday, Garfield.
Happy birthday, Garfield.
Ugh, a spider. Hold still, little spider, while I squash you with the window. Yeah, I know it's kind of cruel, but it's part of my job. Well, at least I got rid of the spider. Oh no. Odie's playing in front of the recliner. Watch this. I hate to brag, but it took a brilliant mind to figure that gag out.
Garfield, come and get it. Take your time. It's peanut butter and fish head stew with pickles on the side and optional chocolate sauce.
Thank goodness. I thought for a minute there it might be food. Not now. Odie, no, not now. I warned you.
I've had enough of this. You're going to stay outside while I cook.
Good. I hate being around acts of cruelty. Okay, John. I'll give you one more chance to apologize.
It's been 10 years since Garfield first appeared in 41 newspapers. He now appears in over 2,000. And looking back over the thousands of strips I've done, I guess that these would be 3 of my favorites.
Hello, diet. Goodbye, food.
Irk!
Hello, sugar withdrawal. I am down. Down, 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 down. Down, down, down. Doobie-doo, down, down. Come down, doobie-doo, down, down. Okay, get revved up there, Odie. Go! I love toys that don't need batteries.
Our first full-length feature film will be called Garfield's Judgment Day. One of the songs from the movie is about how easy cats and dogs have it. The great Lou Rawls has been featured in all our television specials. Here he joins Desiree to record that song for the movie.
No beds to make.
No bills to pay.
Yeah, every day's a holiday. We got it good, and that ain't bad.
No lawns to mow.
No leaves to rake.
Got no pressure and no belly aches.
We got it good, and that ain't bad. Just sitting on the windowsill, soaking up sun, up on the fence till 1.
We don't waste our energy chewing the fat. We got it made.
Wandering back,
no homework due, no dates to keep.
We wake up slow, we eat, we sleep.
We got it good, and that ain't bad.
We live our lives like simple folk. Why fix a thing if it ain't broke? We got it good, and that ain't bad. No worry of security, you to maturity. We do as we please. No headache, no tension, except the occasional please.
And talk about leading the easy life. Our hidden cameras caught Garfield and Odie in their own version of Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous.
Well, he's a fat cat, a cool cat, nobody's cool cat, but look out, 'cause here comes Garfield. He never keeps it, he's too hip, he likes his catnip. Well, look out, 'cause here comes Garfield. He's always got to be one up on ya, and he'll beat you to the punch every time. He'll give up anything for lasagna, unless he has to give up on his nap time. Well, he's a neat cat, a fun cat, Mr. #1 cat. He knows what life is all about. Here comes Garfield. Look out, here comes Garfield. Look out, I said, here comes Garfield. So you better look out.
The folks we work with from all over the world joined my wife Carolyn and me in Tucson, Arizona to celebrate Garfield's 10th anniversary.
Well, nothing to do today but hang on the old screen door. I'm bored. I'm so bored. Bored. I wish something would happen.
Garfield, it's lunchtime. Now, where'd he go?
I'm in pain. I'm in real pain. Pain. Now we need some carrots for color. Perhaps some spaghetti for texture. And of course, fries on the side.
Garfield?
And 2 eggs, over easy.
How long have you been sticking food to the ceiling?
Oh, for quite some time now.
Garfield requires a lot more attention than the average house cat. When he's not performing in the comic strip, he enjoys the loving care given him by the many talented artists who work with me in our Muncie studios. Jim Clements is our senior designer. Thanks to him, Garfield is always in fashion. Betsy Brackett is one of the world's tallest woman designers. She's a world-class artist, too. My brother Doc manages the studio. As you can see, he doesn't get much respect from the artists. Gary Barker not only assists with the strip, he oversees the Garfield look for the rest of the program. Vicki Scott came to us from the animation industry. She used to work for a green guy with muscles. Now she works for a cat. Kevin Campbell is an experienced illustrator and one of the few good artists with a brush. Larry Fenns is a very versatile artist. His skills range from airbrush to watercolor. Larry's brother, Mike Fenns, gives Garfield a whimsical touch through his illustrations for children's books. Dave Kuhn is one of the best airbrush artists in the Midwest. He also does a mean polka. Dwight Ferris is a production artist and one of the few people who can put words in Garfield's mouth. He also does the lettering. Kenny Getzinger is a paste-up and keyline artist. He puts the finishing touches on Garfield. Some of our artists work long distance with Phil Roman in Hollywood on our animated specials. Doug Frankel supervises our animation efforts. The youngest member of our staff, Bob Scott, would rather animate than eat. Ralph Eggleston is proud of his craft and proud of his heritage. He's from the planet Zordog.
Eureka! The mother lode. Look at all this great stuff, Odie. With these costumes, we can be anything we want. What should I be? There's so many sides to me. I could be handsome or brave, a king or a slave. It's all up to me. So what should I be? What could I be? What should I be? I could be a scary vampire and turn myself into a bat, flap, flap. Or I could put on some black pajamas, go as a big fat Halloween cat. What should I be? There's so many sides to me. I could be an astronaut, a robot, a hobo, a clown, or an alien creature going out on a town. What should I be? It's all up to me. What should I be? Let's go.
We'd like to thank you for being with us on our 10th anniversary and look forward to being with you on the comics page and on television in the years ahead. Quite frankly, after all of this excitement, I think I need to get away from Garfield for a while. So long. Oh, no. What are you doing here?